I spit Patron on this microphone. Watch out, I'm in the zone. Worth for everything I own. Life is March Madness. One mistake, then you go. Yeah, I had a stroke, but your boy still rhyming. And Fresh got love, but the squad still wildin'. Catch me in any city in the hood, we grinding.
So the next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is Tyson Fury. He called out Anthony Joshua, and I'm going to pull it up. This is him on his Instagram.
I want the fight next. I'll knock him out inside 3 rounds. He's a big bum dosser. Can't wait to knock him. Well, there you go, everyone. Anthony Joshua just shit himself live on television. He got asked did he want the fight, and he went around the bushes and put his ass on the edge. I want the fight. I want the fight next. I'll knock him out inside 3 rounds. He's a big bum dosser. Can't wait to knock him. Well, there you go, everyone.
All right, so there you have it. Tyson Fury said Anthony Joshua was asked if he wanted to fight him next, and he wet the bed. He didn't say he wanted the Fury fight next. Fury saying I want you next, and he's saying that he'll knock Joshua out within 3 rounds. But he's calling out AJ Trill Dollar Bill. What do you make of it?
Shout out to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, very entertaining guy. My only beef is that he needs new material. This is starting to become a little bit, redundant, I guess. But shout out to Tyson Fury. I don't know. He got other business. He needs to worry about what's going on with his other fight with the other guy and over there with the lawsuits and all that stuff over there. What he's doing is cute, very entertaining and all that, but you have a situation that you need to straighten out first. AJ, he's already said what it is, and he's been saying it from the beginning. Look, I'm not for all the talking. Let's get to sparking. Y'all could do the whole WWE thing if y'all want to, but just, sign the contract and I'll put these paws on you. Everybody's for the theatrical stuff now. Like, that's what it is, because of reality TV and everything that's going on with the internet. Everybody loves the whole theatrical, big
I blame Flavor of Love.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Reality TV thing, yeah. I blame Flavor of Love, but go ahead.
Mm-hmm. That's what it is. People love to see Tyson Fury throw a drink and stuff like that. That's basically what it is. You know what I'm saying?
TV special.
yeah, that's basically what it is. AJ just not playing the games no more. Like, the guys is becoming men now. Like, they're not, it's just the games. It's only come to a point where you want to play the game so long. Like, AJ, early in his career, he played the games. Now he's just like, man, forget all the talking, sign the contract, we'll fight then. You know what I'm saying? You can't fight me next. You have a situation you're dealing with. So what's us going back and forth? You know what I'm saying? It's just ridiculous, And even Tyson Fury, he seemed like he wasn't even too into it, too. It's like he's reading from a script now. He had on his ugly Christmas sweater. This is like, he wasn't even into it like how he always into it, because it's just the same thing over. I don't know. To me, it was just whack. And, AJ, he's like, hey, when it happens, man. Forget all the talking. Let's get to sparking.
All right, Ned.
Yeah, same with Trails. Like, the one thing, it seemed funny, like, when you played it a second time for me just now, after I watched it yesterday after the fight, it's just like he had his own Christmas sweater with his face on it. He's trying to brand himself, market himself, things like that, just to steal the shine from AJ. I don't know. I love Tyson Fury, but when he does these type of antics, it's like, it seems like it's scripted, because he comes out of a corner. It's like a moment of opportunity or a moment for him to shine, and I'm not really feeling it no more, because we've seen it before and we've seen it, and it's nothing at this point. And we already know the situation, like with Wilder. It's either you guys fight, you guys don't fight, or the fight gets put on hold. We was waiting for Undisputed. You got Tyson and AJ already agreed to Undisputed, but that's being held up because Wilder and Fury hasn't had their third match. So at this point, it's just antics. It's not really. I'm not excited by it. I'm not like riled up like, oh, Tyson Furys talking trash on Instagram. It's just what he does. It's jargon, if that's the correct term.
You tell me. All right, geez.
I slightly disagree with Ned and Trill on this one, and the reason why is because
You don't like AJ.
You would disagree. You would disagree.
Y'all say he attacked
I said
G
slightly.
before.
I'm sorry.
Before
Diffusing
G,
opinion
like,
is
you know,
real.
say, y'all, hey, push y'all. Don't G. I'm sorry, but hey, let G finish before you attack him. All right, go ahead, G.
All right, the reason why I said slightly is because it was the zone.
I'm attacking G right now. No, sir. Go ahead, G.
You know, but it was the zone / matchroom that posed the question to Anthony Joshua after the fight. It wasn't like it was ESPN or Top Rank. You see what I'm saying? It was AJ's own peoples that asked him and Eddie Hearn about the possible Fury fight next. And so AJ had a tone of whoever got the belts, and Eddie Hearn's like, oh no, we want Tyson Fury next. So you hear the two explanations, it was almost reminiscent of TC and Bob Arum. Like they're kind of saying the same thing, but they're kind of not. So when Tyson Fury was saying like, yo, he pooped himself and all of that stuff, I could kind of see what he's saying, but this is where I do agree with Trill. It's like, yo, we've been there, we've done that. You know, how long do we got to continue this narrative? You know, and so that's why I could see both sides. But if you're looking at it from a casual perspective, right, like a person who may not really know the entire history and the buildup of this mega fight, you could kind of be like, I don't know, man. AJ seems kind of like shook. Like, why ain't he just saying, like, I want Fury next? You know, so that's why I could kind of, well, I don't necessarily agree with Fury, but I could entertain what he's saying because, again, it's all about public perception. The public perception by him doing that, and then when people go like, why is Fury talking like that? And you go back and you see AJ like, whoever got the belts, and then you have Eddie Hearn like, oh, no, we want Tyson Fury next. It's like AJ should have said that, not his promoter, you know? So that's why I could entertain Tyson Fury bringing that smoke back to Joshua.
Well, let me break it down for the people real quick then. Listen, AJ, when they asked him who he wants, he said he wants to be undisputed. He wants whoever has the belt. Tyson Fury may have been calling out AJ, but he has an obligation over here with a Deontay Wilder. We don't know who's going to win that. Well, we have a feeling who we don't, but we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Deontay Wilder might crack him on the head.
All he needs is one right.
All he needs is one right. And then it's going to be, and then what are you going to say? Oh, well, you say you're going to fight Fury. No. Deontay Wilder got the belt now. You know what I'm saying? So there's a situation still over there. Yeah, that's why AJ's waiting. AJ's waiting to see what happens with the Tyson Fury and Deontay situation before he starts running his mouth. Like a lot of men should do. A lot of people should think before they speak, which they don't, you know? But shout out to the chair.
All right. So, I mean, I agree with what you said, Trill. It's part of my answer as well. So a few things. Before all this hype in boxing became the WWE, which I'm not mad at because you need that. You know, you need someone who's going to talk. Floyd Mayweather, he became a character. He spoke. And if you look at Muhammad Ali would be the first to tell you a lot of his persona came from Gorgeous George, a wrestler who he liked, who was like, you know, I'm beautiful, Gorgeous George, and like Muhammad Ali really liked him, and so you know that became part of his persona. So being a character, there's nothing wrong with that. Me personally, I love Tyson Fury's character. Tyson Fury saying AJ crapped the bed, that's beautiful. I love it. You know, like you're always supposed to look for leverage wherever you can get it. That's called being a fighter. That's called being a negotiator. That's called being a businessman. Whenever you can swing perception on your side, you should hop in. And yeah, Tyson Fury watched that fight. And when they asked AJ, do you want to fight Tyson Fury? He didn't say yes. And that's the only answer that you needed. And so then there's some coaching with Anthony Joshua as well. I think Joshua should say, yes, I want Fury. I want Wilder. I want whoever has the belt. That's a more definitive way to answer the question. But then again, you got to look at it like you got a man who just finished fighting, and then you're asking him about his next fight. And does he want, does he want Fury? You know, there's obstacles in the way. So that's one thing. The classic answer is ask my promoter. Before boxing became the WWE, it used to be real simple. Who do you want next? Ask my promoter. I'll fight anyone. Who do you want next? Ask my promoter. I'll fight anyone. That used to be what fighters did. But now it's more like they want fighters to call each other out. They want people to call each other out. And we're getting caught up in it saying like, oh, this person doesn't want that fight. This person doesn't want that fight. When this stuff used to be behind the scenes and it used to be just ask my promoter. They talk to the promoter give the diplomatic answer, and then they go do what they do. In many ways, it should go back to that because I feel like all this perception and I think that's what's leading to the fanboys because someone's always going to say, well, this person's running away. Well, that person's running away. Well, this person's running away. Is it good for the sport? Is it not? I don't know. Maybe it's good for the sport. I mean, I haven't seen it produce anything good except a legion of cult-like followings for fighters that annoy me, the purist, but that's fine. So Fury wasn't at the fight is another issue for me. Fury, we've seen Fury when he wants a fight. We've seen Fury get in the ring at the end of the Deontay Wilder fight and call Wilder out, and then Wilder say, well, I got to get my mandatories. And then we saw Wilder at the Fury fight when Fury finished his fight, and then Wilder got in the ring, and they had their little face-off, and they announced the fight. So for me, Fury got the invite to go to the fight. Fury was in London, and even Floyd Mayweather was at the fight, the American, but Tyson Fury wasn't there. And so to me, I have an issue with that. Instead of Tyson Fury saying from his house in his sweater in front of a Christmas tree, he crapped the bed, I would have loved for him to say it to Anthony Joshua in his face because he was in attendance that night, because he had the opportunity to be there. So that's not lost upon me. Also, you know, what's not lost upon me is that Joshua didn't say he wants Fury next. And it could be for a number of reasons. Like Trill pointed out, the trilogy might be taking place. So if the trilogy happens and Wilder does pull out the trilogy, he's not getting Fury. So he's locked. He knows the damage of locking in on one opponent. When he locked in on Wilder, he was focused on Wilder. It was AJ Wilder. And he walked in the ring and he looked at Andy Ruiz like he wasn't even a threat, and he got knocked out. Then Fury ended up taking out Wilder. So he knows now this thing doesn't go the way you think. So we need to see who's standing, and when we cross that bridge and we get there, I'm no longer making predictions for the future. Whoever has the belt, that's who I want to fight. That's what I took from what he said. But also, AJ has a mandatory. Alexander Usyk. And Usyk's already said he's not stepping aside. So how are they going to get undisputed? Because if he doesn't fight Usyk, then the WBO is going to strip him. So now you already have a man who's shown the belts are important to him. He's collected the belts. He's fought the mandatories for the belts like Pulev, right? And so he's just going to let it go. So what are you going to say? He avoided Fury because he fought his mandatory. Otherwise, he was going to get stripped. So then you'll say he let it go, right? Keep that same energy then. When Riddick Bowe threw his belt in the trash because he didn't want to fight Lewis, you said he ducked him. So how about Joshua just gives up his WBO belt and then he goes and fights Fury? There are going to be people who say he ducked Usyk. A man can't win. See, this is what y'all do. Y'all create scenarios where a man can't win because you don't respect the fact that he just knocked out Pulev. You got to say, oh, he looked timid. How you look timid in a knockout like that? I want to be that timid. Make me timid like that. I want to be that kind of timid. Where everyone, you know what, I am kind of that kind of timid. Because in my profession, when I walk in, people don't realize how good I am until they're getting the door slammed in their face. And that's when they realize, like, oh, man, we probably should have just settled. But anyways, what I'm saying to you is AJ's in a scenario where he can't win. If he calls out Fury and then he doesn't, and then he can't fight Fury because he got to fight Usyk, everyone's gonna call him a ducker. So he has to keep the reality of the situation in mind. Usyk's my mandatory. Until he's agreed to step aside, I gotta focus on Usyk. And then I'll just close with this. Why promote someone who isn't even at the fight? Fury says he wants the fight. They could have had the greatest promotion if he was there. They could have been face to face like him and Wilder. They could have been talking. That would have set the world on fire. That would have been the talk of the internet. Instead, Fury chose not to come to the fight. And judging by what he was doing, he didn't have anything better to do. He didn't have anything better to do. You could always have the cop out, oh, spending time with your family. You can spend enough time with your family. Trust me, I spend time with my family, and then time I need to get away from them. So everybody knows what's up. Let's be real. All that sounds cute. That's the cute answer for the, come on, man. You know, no one can love you like your family, and no one can get on your nerves like your family. So don't tell me you can't take some time away from your family to go see an event, because sometimes that time is needed. That's all I got to say.
Totally agree.
I'll say this.
Totally agree. Love you, kids.
Get on my nerves.
I'll say two things in both gentlemen's favor. So first with AJ, earlier this week, I was reading on Twitter that AJ did say, he was like, you know what? He wants to fight both Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. He's like, with or without the belt, he'll fight both gentlemen. He just wants Wilder to stop lying, and then they can negotiate something to make that fight. So to AJ's credit, I'll give him that. Now to Tyson Fury's, I'm not going to say credit, but maybe I'll throw a possibility out there. Because of they're talking about this whole Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder litigation, if Tyson Fury did show up to that fight, couldn't that be used against him during litigation? And then Wilder's team could make the argument that, yo, you've been trying to set up that Tyson Fury fight, that AJ fight this whole time, and here's the proof. You over there in the UK setting it up right now when we should be locking in to throw a fight. So I'm just saying, that could be possibly Tyson Fury's argument for not going to that fight.
You know what's more damaging in litigation? The accusations that Deontay Wilder's been making about Tyson Fury in the second fight. That's more damaging in litigation because he's alleging that Tyson Fury committed assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. And also, you know, you could take it a step further. Assault and battery with the attempt to cause serious bodily injury when you factor in that Wilder's saying he got a dent in the head and he's saying all these other things that happened. So you're alleging this man of a felony. So now when they're in front of the judge, if I'm on Fury's team and I'm one who doesn't want to see the trilogy because to me, I've seen enough of Fury, Wilder. I play all the things Wilder's been saying. I play all his little channels, and I say Wilder's been feeding them this because Wilder's the head of the snake. And the proof is in the pudding. And I'll say he's been pushing this. There are people, we could sue him for slander. We could sue him for libel. We could sue him for a number of things. Why should we be forced to fight this man when after we beat him, he did all these things? And if he does believe all these things, and Fury should do one thing. Even if you get the trilogy, Fury, please do this. Tell the judge the only way you will agree to fight him again is if he publicly apologizes for the slander of you, your name, right? And he admits that he just lost. If he can't do that, you shouldn't be forced to fight him again. Because what's going to happen next after the third fight? You're going to say you have sledgehammers in your glove? No, if he can't do that, you shouldn't be forced to fight him again. And that's a reasonable request.
Now, and what else is reasonable, too? No Wilder fan should be even pressing Joshua to fight Tyson Fury, especially if you think Tyson Fury cheated in the Wilder fight. Why, you want Joshua to be cheated out, too, and get a good
I got nothing else to say. I'm just...
Please like and subscribe. Let us know how you feel in the comment section. And check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. We are the Boxing Bros.
We could have been flawless, flying up to make people's mouths drop jawless. How can 2 years be erased in 1 August? And you know I have my pride, so I had to get brolic. All in all, I can't call it. Just know you're my queen. Wish I was denim, cause then I be in your jeans. Can't fight fate, and you've been loving me since your teens. But when you can't move forward, you gotta wipe your slate clean.